Knievel, the most famous name in daredevil jumping. For more than a decade, Evil Knievel had no peers. Tonight, his son Robbie will try to ascend to the championship throne his father once owned, one that has gone unchallenged until now. Eddie Kidd, England's Dark Knight, has become the challenger to the Knievel name. His reputation and ability have captured the imagination of motorcycle jumping fans throughout Europe. Tonight, these two world-class jumpers will test the limits in a duel of skill and courage. Flyboy Productions and Event Entertainment, in association with Casino Magic Corporation, welcome you to Bay St. Louis, Mississippi. You are looking live at the premier casino on the entire Gulf Coast. We are halfway between New Orleans and Mobile, Alabama, on the Gulf of Mexico, where tonight, Robbie Knievel and Eddie Kidd meet in the first ever Daredevil duel. Welcome to the Edge, where the search for the ultimate thrill has brought a crowd from 5 states to this jewel along the Gulf of Mexico. Good evening, everybody. I'm Phil Stone. Tonight, the human form will confront Earth's most powerful force, gravity, where any miscalculation, a single misgiving could lead to sheer catastrophe. Believe me when I tell you, this is an enormous event by all calculations. First of all, it is more than 5 football fields long. From this takeoff tower, 30 feet up, to the runout, more than 1,520 feet away. This will also be the first time a Knievel has gone head-to-head, any Knievel, with anyone in a jump-off competition. It has been in the making for well over a year. Lending his expertise tonight is a man who is one of the elite jumpers in the world today, Johnny Airtime. And Johnny, gone are those old, vague jumping rules of the past. Here in 1993, we're welcoming in a new governing body, and they hope to usher in brand new standards for this sport.
That's right, Phil Stone. Exaggeration has run rampant in the motorcycle jumping industry. Now we've got the World Professional Motorcycle Jumping Association, and with that association is coming full-on sanctioned and measured jumps, which is going to clean up the jumping game and create a real sport.
Talk about the rules for this particular competition. They have all changed, and there's no question they are for the better in this sport of motorcycle jumping. The rules, they are unique to this particular jump-off.
That's absolutely right, Phil Stone. First, we're going to have a target jump. The ramp gap is going to be 130 feet. Casino Magic is putting a chip on the ramp for the target at the 160-foot point. The person closest to the chip determines the winner. A $1,000 prize will be awarded in Casino Magic chips. Next comes the competition jumps. The first ramp gap is 150 feet. They're going all out for distance. Next comes the second jump. The ramp gap is stretched to 175 feet. The accumulated footage of those 2 jumps determines the leader. And the third jump, the challenger can challenge the leader for the next jump, and they go all out for a third and final jump.
Joining us on the deck tonight is a man who once jumped 21 cars. Back in 1972, he broke Evil Knievel's record. His name is Gary Davis. And Gary, what about this competition and the motorcycles they'll ride this evening?
Well, here we are in the pit, and these are the 2 bikes they'll be using. I'm sorry. Here we are in the pit, and these are the 2 bikes they're going to be using. They're CR500s. They're stock. They're not allowed to change anything except the pipes and the suspension. The bikes are set up much stiffer to last on the hard coming down that they'll have. Also, we've added this little transmitter to give you this angle. Here's the look from 30 feet up on the tower. As he takes off, he'll be looking for solid shifts, making sure he doesn't miss any. Right about now, he'll start to accelerate. You'll see the vibration start as the bike's pulling away from him. Into the air. He slams down from 22 feet in the air. And now on the brakes for a smooth landing. Now that was just one of their practice jumps. The jump's going to get much larger and much rougher. Back to you, Phil.
All right, Gary, Johnny, you've jumped more than 4,300 times in your jumping career. What about this perspective? Never seen before.
Well, I tell you what, that's the scene I've seen so many times, 4,300 times. And let me tell you what, these guys' hearts are pounding, and they're going to be in for the biggest jumps of their lives, and I'm super excited.
All right, Johnny, let's meet the jumpers, who tonight find the lure of risk simply too tempting to ignore. Knievel, a name synonymous with 2-wheel spectacles. Robbie grew up watching his father's exploits. The marquees, the crowds, the heart-pounding drama served as sirens for Robbie. At 31, he's already flown farther than his father ever flew, utilizing a style his dad rode for 13 years with huge success. Tonight, the Knievel name is on the line as the focus broadens.
I always only had one competitor, and that was death. And now I've got two competitors. I've got Eddie Kidd, and I've got death.
Spectacular crashes are an ever-present hazard of motorcycle jumping. To fly with the Eagles, one accepts the risks associated with human and mechanical failure. The Knievels share not only the same orthopedic surgeon, but after years of family turmoil, their father-son relationship seems to be healthy once more.
I just want to say I'm here to keep the name Knievel the most famous on two wheels. I'm very proud of the sport my dad created. Our relationship's good.
England's Eddie Kidd also has a relationship with Evel Knievel. He brings a fire to this sport not seen since the Evel era. Kidd is much more than sheer sizzle. At 17, he challenged Evel to a jump-off in London, where Knievel had crashed 8 months prior. Evel declined. But getting a hold of a Knievel, any Knievel, has been an obsession of Eddie Kidd's, one that began in 1973.
I started when I was 12 years old after seeing a movie about Evel Knievel, and I started jumping on bicycles. Back home, I have a huge following. I'm sort of like the English or European version of Evel Knievel back home. And when we show up to jump, I jumped like from 5 buses when I was 15, up to 8. Then from 8 buses, I jumped 13 double-deckers by the time I turned 16.
2 months ago, Kidd went over the wall, the Great Wall of China.
It's not the longest jump I've ever done, but one of the most dangerous, because if I wouldn't have landed dead in the middle of that ramp, I went down 1,000 feet to a river, and I didn't plan on doing that. I had to smash into some boxes at the end, and, well, I'm still here to tell the story about that one.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, the moment you've all been waiting for. Let's get to it. 4 rounds of super heavyweight motorcycle action from Casino Magic in Bay St. Louis, Mississippi. Let's get ready to rumble!
14 months in the making. They've been here for the last 10 days, going at it on the practice ramps. Hand-to-hand combat to be sure. Well, all of the pyrotechnics are out of the way. All there is left now, Johnny Airtime, is the jump itself. And now we've got the cut of the cards. Both Robbie Knievel and Eddie Kidd coming over. The lowest card will have the option of jumping first. Robbie with the face card.
7 of diamonds. You're up, Eddie, babe. I'm trying to use the microphone this time. Okay, man.
And there's no question this plays in to Eddie Kidd's psychology of exactly, Johnny, what he wanted to do. He wanted desperately to jump first.
Well, the pressure is definitely on here. You've got not only the camera pressure, not only the crowd pressure, not only the pressure of live national television. You're competing against the jump itself, but you've got another man to consider, another man to beat, another man to push you to the very ragged limit of your capability.
What about the emotion of these riders? You've jumped more than 4,300 times. What goes through your mind at a moment like this?
Well, you've got to focus on your mission, and if you blow it bad. The mistake you don't want to make is the first mistake in motorcycle jumping, because it's very deadly. Now here we've got the target jump, the first jump with a 130-foot gap, and accuracy is key. It's a good jump to warm up on for the distance jumps, but the pressure is definitely mounting for both riders.
The gap from the launch ramp to the landing ramp is 130 feet, but that Casino Magic chip is located 30 feet down that landing ramp. So a perfect jump here, I would assume, would be dead center at 160 feet.
That's right. I would expect both these jumpers to be within about 10 feet of that marker.
The dynamics of this event, Johnny, this is not a one-jump spectacle as we became so accustomed to seeing in the 60s and 70s with Evel Knievel. Tonight, we have a potential for 4 jumps.
That's right, and you can see what distance these jumpers are jumping. We're going to tell you what the ramp gap is, and I've double-checked this myself. Also, down the landing ramp, there's hash marks every 5 feet. What you do is you add the ramp gap to these hash marks where the jumper landed. We're going to be officially measured by Spanky Spangler, who has tremendous experience in the stunt industry.
Eddie Kidd on the 30-foot ramp.
Being the first jumper up, Eddie Kidd's got a lot of pressure for just this accuracy jump, and if he nails it, Robbie's got all the pressure on his shoulders. Here we go. This could be a speed run.
He dives out of the runway, comes down just to check the runway, as he did virtually all yesterday until that vicious thunderstorm accompanied by tornadoes last night. And then earlier today, he was making that speed run right past the launch ramp. And now, as he does a high five with his crew chief, Chaz Saunders, we're set to go. This will be a go for Eddie Kidd.
The speed run is so that Eddie Kidd can make sure his bike is running clean all the way out. He can make sure his RPM is exactly where he wants it, since he does not use a speedometer. Therefore, he's going to have the right speed this time, hopefully.
Good point. Neither Knievel nor Kidd with a speedometer or a tachometer. This is done by the, as Eddie Kidd called it, the seat of the pants riding.
That's right. Experience tells you a lot of jumps you can just judge by the RPM, seat of the pants, like he said. He's got to keep his cool. Under tremendous pressure, some riders tend to over-amp and just go too fast, so he may overshoot.
He's made 39 practice jumps over the last couple of days, looking for a jump of exactly 160 feet. Here comes Kidd. Oh, he is on it.
That was fantastic. He was within 5 feet of that marker. That is going to be hard to beat.
Chaz Saunders, his crew chief, threw both arms in the air. He likes it. And now there is Spanky Spangler on the extreme left as they look for his touchdown point. Now they find it. You see the chip there at the bottom center of your screen inside that circle. That is where a $100 Casino Magic chip has been nailed into that triple thick plywood ramp. It appears as if he'll be just under 160 feet, probably somewhere in the vicinity, Johnny, of 166, 167 feet.
I believe that. I think that the ramp is huge, but it's set up exactly for this kind of jumping, distance jumping. And as we said, this is simply for accuracy right here. And there's Robbie Knievel warming up, doing his first speed run, while Spanky Spangler officially marks the first jump of the evening.
This is an accuracy jump. This is a target jump where really excessive distance doesn't do you any good whatsoever. They'll have a couple of opportunities to sail as long as they can go. Let's go now to Gary Davis on the pitch. Gary?
Hi, I'm here with Eddie, who made a spectacular jump. I'm told now that you've missed the mark by 7 foot 7 inches. But you feel good about that anyway, don't you?
I feel good, yeah. It was a good jump, and this is just a warm-up. Let's see what I do on the bit next one. I'm going to plan on going 250 plus.
And I believe he'll do it, folks.
The jump 152 feet 5 inches for Eddie Kidd. And now Robbie Knievel. Down the 30-foot takeoff tower onto the 600-foot runway. Robbie now committed to the jump. Again, very, very close to that chip. And again, the one closest to it will receive $1,000 in Casino Magic chips.
It looks to me like one jumper jumped to one side of the ramp, one on the other, but it's the direct line of sight measurement. Here comes Robbie down the acceleration tower, checking his gas for the last time. His petcock, you got to make sure that gas is turned on when you're jumping ramp to ramp. Here he comes. He's up. The front end comes a little bit high, but he tacks the rear brake. You can see the front end shake, a little bit of head shake there from the bottoming. And another replay. Front end comes up, rear brake drags. That transfers the spinning mass of the rear wheel into the frame, bringing the front end back down.
Here's the point of view, the helmet cam look. That's what Robbie Knievel is looking at, trying to sight in that chip. Now he sees it, slams the back wheel down. And he too is in that vicinity of 153, 154 feet. His back tire, it's the first tire to come down And Johnny, I think he is somewhere in that vicinity where Eddie Kidd landed, 150, 253 feet.
I think that's great. They're very, very close. I think they're very evenly matched in ability. And now the pressure is really going to start mounting as they prepare for the distance competition. Next, they're going to spread the ramp gap. And we're going to go down to Gary in the pits.
Okay, we're down here with Robbie, who just made his jump. It's 8. You missed it by a foot more than he did. How do you feel about that, Rob?
That's all right. I'm all done gambling at Casino Magic anyway. I'm glad Eddie won that money. He needs it.
Okay, so that was a warm-up jump for you. You're still going to go plenty far tonight, aren't you?
Draw the cards, big guy.
Okay, we're ready to do the cards when you guys are.
All right, as you look at this crowd, capacity crowd has found their way to Bay St. Louis, Mississippi for this competition tonight. One that really, the seed was planted some 14, 15 months ago. It was originally scheduled for March the 12th in Panama City, Florida, but a huge storm moved through the Sunshine State. And tonight is the night. Now the cut of the cards to see who will go first in the first competitive distance jump. Eddie Kidd will draw first. A king of spades. The lowest card will jump. The 2 of spades. It will be Robbie Knievel mounting the takeoff tower first. There's his crew chief, Bill Rundle.
Right now,
You got 10 minutes.
right now.
You heard Gary Davis informing Robbie Knievel he is on a 10-minute clock now. He must begin his run down the takeoff tower 10 minutes from right now. Johnny, did it take you the full time? Did you like to think about it? I mean, they've had months to think about it. The last 10 days here on site to think about it. Do you want to mount that ramp and go, or will Robbie take some time to think it over?
I think it's best to take your time and think about it, because every jump has to count. You have to be absolutely mentally prepared for each jump. And if you fold at the last second because you hesitate or you're not sure of yourself and you don't fully commit, you're in for some big trouble. And I'm getting nervous right now because Robbie could conceivably jump to the very bottom of this 158-foot landing ramp. A lot of things happen in that space of time. You can loop out, you can endo, you can do a flying W off that launch ramp. It can get pretty bad out there, and Robbie is under tremendous pressure. Both of these jumpers are strong personalities. They're going to do their very best to take the other man out. This is a for real deal. And when you're as high as an interstate overpass doing 90 miles an hour, when you hit the ground, you better be on 2 wheels.
Their practice jumps yesterday and today farther than anyone else has ever jumped. And they did it with such routine, Johnny, that I think most of us began to think this has to be a walk in the park for both Eddie and that man right there, Robbie Knievel. But when you talk to their crewman about an hour ago, Bill Rundle for Robbie, and certainly Chaz Saunders for Eddie Kidd, they both feel the nerves. And they were saying a practice jump is just that. It's a practice jump. But when you're going for it all, nobody's going to hold anything back now.
That's absolutely right. It's like sparring and boxing with 16-ounce gloves, and you put the 6 ounces on and go for the gold. Those punches hurt a little bit more, and they punch a little bit harder and put a little bit more into it, and they're a little harder to knock down.
Robbie's bike, a Honda, pretty much a stock CR 500cc bike. About 220, 240 pounds. About 100 pounds lighter than the bike his father rode into the history books 15, 20 years ago. Evo rode a bike, a Harley, that was up around 350 pounds.
That's right. He rode Harleys, American Eagles, Triumphs, BSAs, Nortons. He's ridden all the 4-stroke street bike type, you know, big 750s, 650s and all that. And being a 4-stroke man, that's the kind of bike that, you know, Knievel rode. A lot of the riders back then rode 4-strokes. Nowadays, the primary jumpers are riding 500cc single-cylinder 2-stroke water pumpers with 12 inches of travel front and rear, where back in the old days they only had 3 or 4 inches.
150-foot ramp separation. Is it a speed run? Yes, as he pulls off.
I would not be surprised to see several speed runs, 2 or 3, because under this pressure, he's got to know what he's doing. He's got to be confident, and he's got to follow through. And The first couple speed runs, just get your confidence up, get your speed where you think that you can land where you want to.
Interesting to look at Robbie Knievel's rear tire. It's a knobby. It's not your street configuration. Why?
Robbie believes, as some jumpers believe, that the knobby is stiffer carcass, higher profile, and he's always had good luck with the knobbies. And actually with these ramps, they're painted with sand paint, so there's really not a major traction problem. So under different conditions, the knobby would be ludicrous, but here it's acceptable in that, you know, we've got a decent traction situation and we've got plenty of room to gain speed.
Again, the ramp separation 150 feet. Knievel's got it lined up, and he'll pull off once more.
When you do your final speed run, and you know that you could have gone on that one, and you're ready to go for the next one, your heart starts beating just as soon as you pass that launch ramp, and it is heavy, heavy pressure.
Robbie Knievel well into his 10-minute time limit, approaching 5 minutes. He has a total of 10 to make this first competitive jump, and there he's talking things over with his crew chief. There's a good look from the helmet cam. What are they dialing in right now, Johnny? What's going through Robbie Knievel's mind?
Robbie's just telling his crew chief exactly how he stands, if he's going to do one more speed run and then jump, or if he's going to do the jump right now.
Suspension. Such a critical element in jumps this high and jumps this far.
Especially since the landing ramp is so long and flat. It's a tremendously flat angle. That means a really hard landing. And this configuration is set up for distance jumping. The launch ramp is a somewhat flatter angle than some other jumps, but since we're going for distance, they figure that by going high speed, they'll cover a lot of ground in the air. And with such a long landing ramp, you're certain to land on it.
Earlier this week, Robbie had suspension problems. He told us he tightened it up, stiffened things up. They revalved it, added stiffer springs to both the front and back suspension, because he was casing out or bottoming out on that landing ramp. And today we didn't see any evidence of that whatsoever. So apparently they have at least the suspension dialed in to perfection.
Well, I believe they're going to push the limits, and I think they're definitely going to bottom. Both guys are going to bottom hard. I noticed that Eddie Kidd's suspension is soft compared to Robbie's, but I can guarantee you they're both going to bottom very hard, and it'll be difficult to even hang on to the bars when they land. This kind of landing knocks the breath out of you. It can break the bike. I've broken handlebars doing this stuff before, and with that flat landing ramp and going as far as he possibly can, you just never know what's going to happen. Race face on this time.
He's got it lined up. He is committed. Knievel's first jump in the neighborhood of 200 feet. And his longest practice jump, Johnny, air time was about 170 feet earlier today.
Whew, this stuff drives me crazy. I hope these guys get through tonight. Spanky Spangler officially marking where the rear tire set down.
And it now appears as if it's back at about 185 to 190 feet.
Here's the replay. Robbie comes up. He keeps the front end down real nice this time, flying somewhat level. Gets slightly crossed up, making corrections, and then he sets down. Another look, the POV. Here's what Robbie's looking at. The only view you definitely don't want to have. Wham! That thing just rebounds so hard. You can see the front end come off the ground right there. Another look. Watch the front end rebound and bounce right off the ramp. That tells you it's completely bottoming, and when they start really airing it out, you're going to see this get a lot worse.
192 feet is the official measurement for Robbie Knievel. And now it is up to Eddie Kidd to chase a figure of 192 feet. Johnny, Eddie leaned out of his motorhome less than an hour ago after a 2-hour nap, smiled and said, I'm looking at a minimum of 250 on my first competitive jump. Can we believe it?
I don't believe it this time because I don't think he has to do that. He's just going to get something of a lead. He might jump 20 or 30 feet farther if he's aggressive, and if he goes any farther than that, I think he's over-amping on the jump. He needs to play it somewhat conservative, maybe go 220 or so, but to just blow out with a 250 would be risking the entire contest at this point.
Eddie Kidd now well into his 10-minute clock. He's got 10 minutes to make his first competitive jump again. The separation of the launch ramp and the landing ramp, 150 feet.
Both these riders wear outfits with no pads. They're wearing full leathers. Eddie actually uses blue jeans with chaps. And most jumpers do use the pads. Different types of plastic with pads underneath. And I would certainly not want to go down at these speeds without pads myself.
This is a rather unique outfit that Eddie Kidd wears, designed by Vivian Westwood Designs out of London, England. She has designer shops all over the world, and he's quite proud of Vivian's designs.
He's a good-looking man, and he dresses to the T. You got to say that about Eddie Kidd.
Well, at age 16, Eddie Kidd jumped 13 double-decker buses, but on his landing, he slid into his dad, broke his dad's collarbone. Also ran his bike into a couple of friends, breaking their legs. Eddie had a concussion. He didn't remember anything about it.
Boy, sometimes he evidently landed on his back and went out and slid down the embankment on the other side of a ravine.
Another speed run for Eddie Kidd. Now, Eddie made about 5 to 10 more practice jumps than did Robbie Knievel this week. They both had a maximum of 40. I think Eddie took his 40th jump about 4:30 this afternoon.
That's right, and I was watching both of these jumpers in practice. Eddie Kidd is keeping the front end down a little better than Robbie, but you know, when they start really gassing it, the shape of the ramp interacting with the suspension of the motorcycle combined with rider technique could bring the front end down for Robbie. These dynamics occur when they get really intense.
Eddie Kidd, the Black Knight from London, England. His crew chief, Chaz Saunders, is walking up the landing ramp. And Eddie is trying to dial him in. He's showing him right there is where Robbie Knievel landed. Now Chaz will back up. Eddie continues to dial it in. He's stopping at about 220 feet. 150 from ramp to ramp. And he stood at the 70-foot mark of the landing ramp. So 150 and 70 would be 220. Now Chaz is running down the runway to talk things over with his jumper. You know, earlier this week, Johnny, Eddie was having a casing problem. He was bottoming out, so they went to a larger front wheel.
Well, I'm not so sure that that'll solve the problem because the same diameter and radius is in effect. So it may help somewhat, but that might be more dependent on tire pressure and suspension settings. But the farther they land down the ramp, the steeper the angle they come in at, and the higher their drop comes from. So they're dropping farther, landing at a more steep angle to the 50-degree landing ramp. That's one of the flattest landing ramps I've ever seen.
I believe Eddie Kidd is ready to go. He has a total of 10 minutes to make his first distance jump. Robbie Knievel on his first jump sailed 192 feet. Kidd wants to fly by that with plenty to spare. Let's listen now to Eddie Kidd as he gets set to go. All 40 practice jumps behind him. Eddie Kidd is letting it rip, nearing 90 miles an hour. He's lined up. He's committed. Oh, what a jump!
Boy, he landed is sitting down with some limp legs. Looks like he's got about a 50-foot lead on Robbie Knievel right now, maybe 30 feet. But he landed sitting down, and he got some major spinal compression on that one. That could hurt him. He's had a back injury recently, which he's trying to get ready for and get prepared and training for. He's been riding a bicycle 56 miles a day. And let's go for a replay. Here Eddie Kidd hits the ramp with total intensity in the attack position. Front end is down. He's flying level, but he gasses it in the air, bringing the front end up. Boom. Hard landing.
In the neighborhood, Johnny, of 210 feet. Look at the way Kidd brought those handlebars up at the point of takeoff.
Oh, that was a good spinal compression. I hope that he's okay after that. He certainly won't let anyone know. We're going to go with a POV here. Here we go. The front end is down. Now it's coming up. Wham!
Officially, the distance 214 feet. A 22-foot advantage now for Eddie Kidd. And that has certainly put the pressure now on Robbie Knievel.
Now they're going to stretch the ramp gap to 175, and they're going to go again. Let's go down to Gary in the pits.
I'm here with one happy Eddie Kidd. How do you feel, pal?
What can I say? I'm over the moon, man. I'm ready for the next one.
Did you hurt your back on that
Yeah,
one?
I hurt. Yeah, the suspension kicked a little bit, and the front end, I don't like to jump the front end. And it went off to the left or the right. I can't remember now. I was having such a good time over there. But it didn't go to plan. On the next one, hopefully, we're going to go a little bit further.
Now, you were real level in the air the whole time. It wasn't until you got across your down ramp that you finally raised the front end.
Yeah, I think I just pulled it up a bit too much, and I hurt my back a little bit. But we'll be ready to go for the next one.
You did a great job. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, Eddie said he was going to pull out all the stops on his first jump for distance.